is day 13 of my manifestation challenge, and yesterday I did my full moon dress rehearsal, living as my best self in my dream body for the entire day. I microvlogged the entire thing. You can watch those on my shorts, and you know, it was pretty draining. Going through it, I felt amazing. I honestly felt like I was on cloud 9. I woke up, I had lost an inch overnight, which is crazy, but also lined up really well with where I am in my journey. So lost an entire inch in the morning, so I felt amazing. I busted it up the hill. I was dancing almost halfway up, just having fun, trying to make Pascal laugh. And when I got to the top, I was like ecstatic. It was amazing. And then I wanted to run back down, but I walked. But I had that kind of energy level that I was ready to run, you know? When we got back, we went swimming. I wore my bikini bottoms and top, both bikini. Normally I'll wear like a compression tank top or shorts and a bikini top or something, because I just feel a little too on display, or I used to at least. But yesterday I put both pieces on and cannonballed into the water and didn't wear a cover up when I came home. So I was really putting my body out there on display like I would if I had my dream body. The shorts that I recorded them in, you know, underwear and a bra or underwear and a shirt or whatever it was, and just like really tried to feel like, how would I express myself if I was in my dream body, if I had nothing like holding me back, essentially. I ate really well. I did have like a little chocolate bar with my strawberry picnic, but I had justified it in my head as like, okay, well, you could have like a little this and a little that if you have already achieved what you're looking to achieve. I don't think it was worth it. The sugar totally crashed me. I was feeling super good all the way up until that point, and then it's almost like it overloaded me because I was already operating on such a high frequency that it actually brought me down, which was an interesting thing to note. So I think there is such a thing as moderation, but I think it was just the wrong time for it. If I was in my dream body, I think I would still reserve that for when I am feeling like lower energy or something. But even then, like, it didn't bring my energy up, it brought it down. So I don't know, I gotta think on that one. But then after that, I had like a 2.5-hour conversation with a friend, and at the end we were like, oh, let's draw some tarot cards. It's the full moon, that would be so fun. For hers, we drew the 4 of Wands, which is a very like happy celebration card. It was essentially just like, oh, endings are coming, which she already knows and wants. So now's the perfect time to like throw a dinner party and like really savor like these last few minutes, which is amazing for her. But then we pulled mine, and of course it was the Tower card. Tower, and then the Wheel of Fortune, and then the 7 of Pentacles. So everybody knows that the Tower card is like the worst one in the deck. Like, people get scared of the Devil, but it's the Tower card that can actually mean physical death. Doesn't always, but it can mean like financial ruin, divorce, essentially something that like shakes your life to the core. And I'm really happy right now. I'm really thankful for the life that I've created. I have found myself on a tropical island that, you know, connects me to my heritage. I have tons of time and freedom every day to pursue things that I want to do and my own creative pursuits. I'm making really great use of that time. I'm working hard. I'm healthy. I'm closer to my dream body than I've ever been before. I'm in love. Like, everything that could be going right has gone right. And I am terrified of that being taken away from me. The Wheel of Fortune card is normally a good card. When you get it upright, it means like good luck, good karma. But it can also mean that essentially if everything's already going great, it could reverse as well and take it all from you. And then the Seven of Pentacles, I asked, before I pulled that one, I asked, like, I just need like a hint, like, what is this like regarding? Like, how, what area of my life is this change gonna happen in? And it was in my work and in my rewards for my efforts. Now there's different ways you can read this, right? So obviously when I first pulled the Tower card yesterday, everything I read after that I felt negative about. I didn't read any positivity into it at all. I just saw it as like terrible and terrifying, and it put me into that high cortisol fight or flight mode, fight, flight, and freeze, and it froze me. And then when I was on my hike this morning, sorry, I'm just gonna like shake off some of the like fear and like negative energy that I like feel when I talk about it. Because this morning when I was on my walk, I started thinking about the cards a little more. I read the descriptions again, and I just started thinking about what it was actually saying. First things first, I need to let go of the fear of change. The Wheel of Fortune card is essentially saying that like what you put out into the world, you are going to receive back. And when I really take a look at everything that I have put into the world, it has always been positive, and it has always been for the benefit of other people. You know, before this, I was always in an assisting position. I would always be spending 9 hours a day, 7 to 9 hours a day, making sure that someone else's business was running smoothly and that someone else could have the peace of mind to relax on their time off because they know that I'm taking care of them and their business. I've always taken care of people, my friends, emotionally, been there to support people, been there to send love. I'm a very considerate and compassionate person. So when I really take stock of everything I've put out in the world, even deciding to do this manifestation channel, I wanted to find a way to connect more and share some things that if I wish I would have known 5 years ago when I was paying attention to like a lot of things that put me further into my freeze mentality, where it's just like, just ask for it. Don't do a single other thing. Only just, if you put it out there, it will happen. But don't think a single negative thought. If you think one negative thought, it's all gonna disappear. Like that was the kind of stuff that I was like listening to, and it really took my manifestation completely off course and made me distrust in it because it was so hard felt completely unattainable. So I wanted to create this channel so that I could help people with that and help people get closer to the things that they want to achieve, because I have failed a lot of things. I've failed a lot of things and I've quit a lot of things. And any tool that you can use to get you closer to not failing and not quitting and actually achieving success for once, I think that's worth putting out into the world. You know? So when I really take stock of all that, I just can't see me receiving anything negative back. It might be a change that looks negative, but the Tower card does say in it that like, or the description of says that like, even if it looks terrible, it really is for the highest good, because the universe is working for you and things are happening for you and not to you. And I do believe that. So if I change the way that I'm perceiving the reading, there's going to be a big change coming. I will be receiving the bounty of what I have sown, and that will be a huge change because I've never experienced creating something and something coming from it, or I've never fully perceived that I have received something because I, from my own direction and all on my own, created something that was able to that I was able to receive something from in a way that might change my life. There's so many optimistic ways to look at that reading. So for my own benefit, because listen, like stressing about it is not going to help me on my manifestation to my dream body. Cortisol levels, high cortisol levels, create a panic that makes you hold on to protectionist weight. And I can't have that happen right now because I'm trying to release that weight. So I need to relax and focus on the positive and be optimistic about the reading and hope that that is what it is. But regardless, I'm releasing my fear of the change. I am. I'm releasing my fear of the change. Whatever happens is going to happen. I will survive it because I've survived every tower moment in my life so far, and I've always been able to look at the pieces, learn something from it, and walk away stronger, and I will do it again. So if a huge change comes, a huge change comes, but I am not allowing it to raise my cortisol levels any longer. I'm going to live in the peace that we live in an ever-changing world, and that the change can happen for the good as well. And with that, I also wanted to talk about the ritual that I did yesterday with the full moon, because as you know, the full moon is all about taking stock of what you currently have and how full your life is and everything in it, so that you can decide what you want to release as the moon wanes. So after the tarot reading, I went out to the pools and I found myself a nice quiet spot by the sunset, and I just journaled and I wrote out this whole thing about what it is that I want to release. And then I lit my candle, I set it all, I released it all out into the ocean. Then I blew out the candle. I still hadn't seen the moon at that point because it turns out it was actually on the other side of the island that I couldn't see. So I ran over to the docks and got there just in time to see it rising. So in the end, I did see the moon, and I did beg it to save me from my fate, but kind of wish I could go back and just not have taken it so seriously, the reading that is, and to just have asked it for some guidance and just have been grateful for everything that's in my life so far, because I wouldn't be this terrified of change if I wasn't as happy as I am, and if I wasn't as grateful for everything that I've put together so far and the places that I found myself. So I am very, very grateful for everything that I have. But there are things that I want to release, and most of this is fear. But I do want to read it to you because I think that it'll help understand me and my journey a little bit better. So the first thing that I want to release is the weight. That stubborn fat that's been protecting me from fully interacting with the world. The fat that stands between me and the electricity of life. I feel like this extra 10 to 30 pounds that's on my body is to numb it all. Because the only time I've ever felt truly comfortable living, like when you're thin, when you don't have a lot of fat on your body, everything feels electric. Temperatures feel more, like everything feels more electric in the world. When you interact with things, when you talk to people, there's a vibrancy, there's an energy that as you put on more fat, you dull yourself away from. I've only ever felt comfortable in that electricity once, and it was back in college when I was living in a bustling city and there was always something to do. I think I'm scared of that electricity inside because it can turn into anxiety really quick if you don't have a way to express and utilize that energy. Because anxiety, at least in my body, is when energy that I have too much energy and it just gets stale and it's bouncing around inside me, but I'm not moving. That to me is anxiety. So I feel like I've put on this weight to dull myself, because I moved from this bustling city where there's always something to do, some party to go to, some human to connect with, to a sleepy little town where everything's shut by 10, so you can't go out. There's very little community. There's some bike trails and stuff, but unless you're active like that, There's just no way to express that electricity. I found little ways like going to the gym and that kind of thing, but it was never enough, you know? So I put on that fat at that time, but then the more fat you put on, the more it turns into like depression, you know? And that comes into my next point, which is essentially the boundary created by a lack of trust in myself of what I would do with the power, and a lack of trust in the world of what it would do to me. So once I had put on a little bit to protect myself, I think the biggest reason that I started putting on fat is because I finally found a person that I wanted to settle down with. And when I was in the bustling city, you know, I was 18, 19, 20, and when you're 18, 19, 20, there's a vivacious beauty to that age that you just can't help but radiate, and people want to be around you, and people want to ask you on dates, and people want that youth, they want to be a part of it, you know? It's a vibrantly beautiful age. And with that, you know, I definitely cheated on the partner that I was with at the time, because there was just so many options and there was so much to do. And he was a very quiet, you know, docile person who didn't want to experience like the vibrancy. He just didn't have the energy. He was working so hard all the time. So I stopped trusting myself. And when I met the partner that I have now in the sleepy little city, sleepy little town, I didn't want that power anymore. I wanted to figure out a way to not fuck up that relationship. I didn't want to lose him as a partner by having so many options that it came between us. And so I started packing on weight, because that is a way to be undesirable. Just, I'm not saying that having fat makes you undesirable, but at least for me, it was enough to shake my self-confidence. And it really is the self-confidence and the happiness and the electricity that is attractive to people. And the more weight I put on, the less happy, the less electric I was. I was miserable. I was miserable, and I was overweight, and I was completely undesirable, which was the goal when I first started doing it. Just, it wasn't conscious. It was out of a lack of trust in myself, and also a lack of trust in the world, because it's really scary. The world can be super scary when you don't feel safe, when you feel like a target because of that electricity, that vibrance that people want. You know, you just don't always feel safe. So it was kind of like this blanket that I put on to essentially disappear and walk around the world with an invisibility cloak on, so that I could maintain the relationship. But in doing that, I really put the relationship at jeopardy, because he fell in love with the vivacious, electric person that I was when we met. And I loved that person too. That is the person that I fell in love with, me, in that vibration sense. And when I got further and further away from it, and more miserable and more depressed, I completely didn't recognize myself. And we had to work so hard to get me back out of that, to even be close to the person that I am today. So I want to finally release that last 10, 20, 30 pounds that came on at the very beginning. And I want to finally be electric again. I want to experience the energy of the world, the temperature of the world, the connection of the world. And I no longer want to be operating under this invisibility cloak. And I also want to release the hesitancy that manifests as laziness and lack of energy. Because another way to be invisible is to stay home, because you just don't have the energy to go out, you know? To never apply yourself 100% to a project because you don't have the energy, or you're too lazy, or whatever it is. Like, I want to release all of that. Another safety blanket that I have is never giving 100% to anything, because if I gave my full 100% and it didn't work, then it's proof that I'm actually not good enough, and that my 100% is not enough to be successful. Whereas right now I can hold on to the fact that, you know, maybe if I actually tried my hardest, I could achieve something. But, you know, I'm only trying like 90 or 80%, so it's fine that I'm still where I am. I don't want it. I want to release that. I want to release that mentality, and I want to give it 150 no matter what. No matter if it succeeds or if it fails, I gave 150 and I can hang my hat on that. I'd rather hang my hat on that than I didn't try, so no wonder it didn't succeed. And yeah, what I crave is by doing more, not less. The energy that I crave is through doing more, not less. Connecting more, not less. Experiencing more, not less. Helping more, not less. Being more vulnerable emotionally and spiritually, and opening myself up fully to ridicule and criticism, because with that comes love and connection. You are energized when you go out into the world of energy. You are energized when you climb up a mountain and run down. You vibrate after that. You never feel more energized when you lounge around all day and scroll and just consume. You never, ever feel more energized. You feel depleted and drained because that's what you're connecting with. And I want to start putting myself out there, no matter if I get rejected, if I get ridiculed, if I get hate comments, if I get whatever. I want to start putting myself out there, because it's only through doing that that I might get some love and connection as well. And then you just decide what you want to interact with. And I'm strong enough to not interact with the negativity. I do it on a daily basis in all these other ways, and we've talked about it in manifestation sense before, but also with people. You know, I'm very good at not interacting with negative people, and I'm strong enough to handle making that choice. I might not be strong enough to read every single hate comment, because I don't think anybody is, except maybe David Goggins, but I am strong enough to just not engage. So I'm going to release this desire to be invisible. And here's like kind of the list of things that I want to release, okay? So release doubt, release dread, release self-imposed boundaries, release limiting mindset, release excuses to stay small, release desperation to please all, release fear that the universe will abandon me, release fear that I will not survive the fall, release fear that I will die trying, release fear to succeed, because what would happen then? Success is the total unknown. Release the fear of the unknown. Release my barrier protecting me from existence. I am allowed to exist. It's what I'm here to do. There's definitely a lot of times where I don't feel like I'm allowed to exist. I don't feel like I can share everything that I'm thinking and every part of myself. I hold a lot of complicated beliefs. I hold a lot of countercultural ideas that come from just experience and compassion and what I believe about life. And I don't feel like the world is always a safe space to share your controversial opinions, or just your opinions at all, or even to put your face out there, or even to try something online, because I've seen those bullying like meme accounts that will take someone just trying to live their life on the internet and be part of something and be in the public and say, hey, this is me, and you know, I'm eating chicken or whatever it is, and they'll take it and they'll make fun of it and they'll blow it up and it'll become a meme in all the worst ways. And seeing stuff like that happen is terrifying enough to make you never want to post anything ever. There's so many people in the world that will never post anything ever because they just don't want the smoke. And I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to post things. I don't want to be invisible. I want to share and connect and find people to talk to and find community of people who agree with me and people who don't, you know, as long as it's like respectful, as long as we agree morally, like on how we should treat people we don't agree with, you know. But I just want to release everything that's keeping me feeling small and keeping me, you know, the fear that the universe is going to abandon me, the fear that I'm going to try something and I'm going to fall so hard that it rips me to shreds and kills me and makes me literally never want to try ever again. That's a huge fear, but I want to release it. because I've fallen on my face a million times, and I can laugh at myself, and I can stand back up, and I can try again, you know? And the fear to succeed, I'll figure it out. If I can figure out how to fail a million times, I can figure out how to succeed. I can figure out what to do when I have succeeded. You know, because success is like relative, right? So you're gonna get up to where you consider success, and then you're like, oh, there's still more to do here. I can still keep just trying, and then maybe I'll fail again at like another later stage. And I think like success is, instead of like looking like a dot, whereas trying is a line, and then success is the dot. I think it's like trying and then succeeding, and then succeeding is just this like long line as well of things that just need to continue to be doing it. I'm comfortable in that space. It's not the unknown. It's not the unknown. That's just like another limiting belief that I put on myself. Because what is succeeding? A lot of people would consider like where I live, or how much time I have on my hands, or I don't know, certain aspects of my life as having succeeded, or being in the process of succeeding. So I need to release that mindset as well. I'm releasing these mindsets and giving myself permission to exist. And the trust in myself that I'm gonna be okay, and that I am strong enough to handle whatever it is that comes my way, and that I'm not a victim, and I'm not a sensitive little being. You know, I'm strong enough to do this. I'm strong enough to not need the safety blanket of these 30 pounds anymore. I can release them, I can let them go, and I can interact with the world again. So, that was my full moon. If you have anything you want to release, feel free to leave them in the comments, release them there. Never look at them again. Or just release them with the intention of never looking at them again. The moon's gonna start waning now, so hopefully now that I've set these intentions, it's a big one, big intentions. The way that I'm going to try to actually action this, because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to start taking these steps, is that I know the feeling. I'm looking for the feeling of electricity, okay? So I'm gonna start hunting for the breadcrumbs of electricity through my life. If I find something that makes me feel light and electric in my soul, in my body, in my mind, I'm going to grasp onto that thing, and I'm going to do more of that thing. So say it's singing. Say I sing in the car, or I don't have a car anymore, but say I sing, you know, while I'm exercising, and all of a sudden I just feel like lighter and more energized for some reason, even though I'm doing something really hard. I am going to sing more. And then I'm going to keep hunting for these things. If there's a food that just makes me, like I think spinach, cooked spinach, I feel like that makes me feel really light and energized from what I remember. Okay, so I'm gonna try it again. And if I feel that feeling truly in my body, then I'm gonna keep eating more of that spinach. I'm just gonna hunt for these little breadcrumbs, just like what we were doing with the beauty in the world around you. And I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to feeling light and electric by the end of these 28 days. We're on day 13. We've got 15 days left to go. I've already lost 8 pounds. I lost 2 whole inches around my waist, so that roughly translates to 8 pounds. So if I can do that, then I can lose another 10, and that'll almost be 20 pounds, which is like smack dab in the middle of the 10 to 30 that I felt like I needed to kind of lose to be in that dream body. So we've got this. We've got this. And now the moon's working with me, as opposed to before where it was working working a little against me. So it's working with me. We're gonna pick up some steam, pick up some wind, run down this hill, and we are going to achieve this manifestation. And we're going to connect. So I want to connect. If you want to connect, comment below. Let's do this shit together. Let's make our manifestations come true. Let's achieve our dreams. Let's make sure the tower is good. Even if it's not, let's make the best of it. Okay. Peace, love, and magic, guys.